Let's talk about the WNBA.
Okay, so the WNBA finals, right? It's supposed to be this epic showdown, the absolute peak of women's basketball, packed with passion, drama, and huge stars. But here's the wild truth. When legends like A.G. Wilson and Dana Bonner walked into those arenas, they were met with rows and rows of empty seats. What should have been the league's most unforgettable moment actually turned into a pretty humiliating spectacle.
I believe y'all don't care. I think y'all care about the drama around it. I do believe that, but I don't think you care about the events itself. And judging by ticket prices, neither does anybody else.
Seriously, picture this. Crickets. No fans, even with tickets costing an arm and a leg for some, but not for the actual game. And get this, none of that crazy energy we saw when Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever were playing. It wasn't just embarrassing for two of the league's absolute best, A.G. Wilson and Dana Bonner. It was absolutely infuriating. You could see their annoyance on camera, hear their unfiltered thoughts about the missing fans loud and clear. But beneath all that anger, there was this growing, unsettling realization that the WNBA's massive moment had just faded away, and without Caitlin Clark, nobody seemed to care.
If ever there was proof that the Caitlin Clark fans / Fever fans are now the overwhelming majority of the fandom, look at ticket prices for finals games.
Honestly, there should have been insane hype building up to these WNBA finals. We're talking two powerhouse teams, incredible players on both sides, literal MVP caliber talent, all ready to battle it out for a championship. But as game day got closer, something just felt. No sold out stadiums, no packed sports bars buzzing with fans, zero viral moments blowing up online. Instead, people were scrolling through ticket sites in total disbelief. Tickets for the championship game, the biggest stage in women's basketball, right? We're going for as low as it felt like they were setting up for a ghost town.
Game one, the get-in price for game one matchup between the Aces and the Mercury for a WNBA finals game. Holy hell, there's $35 seats right there. Right there. Plenty of good seats available.
And you know who couldn't hide her disappointment? A.G. Wilson, the face of the Las Vegas Aces and the reigning MVP. She was expecting a loud, wild, absolutely electrifying final. But during warm-ups, as she looked out at entire sections of empty crimson seats, she reportedly just mumbled to herself, "This is the finals." It wasn't arrogance or conceit, guys. It was pure, unfiltered disbelief. She just couldn't wrap her head around it.
Look at that. Wow. $35 whole. This might be the best part of the video for the WNBA, because when you gauge the interest, to gauge the interest of this series, and it was ugly.
Think about it, players like Wilson and Bonner have been grinding for years, fighting to elevate this league, to make it shine. Yet here they were, performing for a scattered audience, with cameras zooming in, almost gleefully, on all those empty spaces in the stands. And Dana Bonner, she wasn't holding back either. She looked visibly ticked off during her post-game interview after Game 1. Despite all the effort her team poured in, the silence from the crowd was absolutely deafening. With this really sharp tone, she just flat out said, "You work your entire career for moments like this, and you just hope people care enough to show up." You can feel the emotional gut punch in that single quote, right?
DeWanna Bonner, Alyssa Thomas, and the Mercury in the finals against A.G. Wilson and the Aces. Will you be locked in watching this series? ? Yes or no? Hit the poll. 4% of brave souls said yes. 96% said hail to the no.
In that very moment, the players on the court, the ones in the finals, had this dawning realization maybe the league's hype was a lot flimsier than they'd ever imagined. And trust me, fans on social media caught on fast. Photos of those empty seats went viral, sparking massive debates about what the heck went wrong, while some people trashed the league's marketing and those wildly inconsistent ticket prices. Most pointed to one glaring omission, a single name totally absent from the finals. Throughout the season, rookie sensation Caitlin Clark had practically set women's basketball on fire, pulling in insane TV ratings and record attendance with the Indiana Fever. But without her, these finals just seemed to completely lose their sparkle.
Guys, if the Fever and Caitlin Clark was playing in a finals game, let's say against the Mercury, with all that drama around there, would there be a single ticket less than $300? Now, I mean, honestly, a single ticket less than $300. I don't think so. I think you'd have courtside seats go for $5,000. If Caitlin Clark was playing, if she was in these finals along with the Fever.
Now, league executives tried to spin this whole thing, painting it as this epic clash between two legendary franchises. But fans, they just weren't buying it. They wanted compelling storylines, raw emotion, and a real reason to invest, something the league just couldn't deliver this time around. These finals were supposed to be the ultimate showcase of competitiveness. Instead, they exposed a brutal truth. The WNBA's mass appeal still seemed to revolve around a handful of polarizing personalities, and by the end of Game 1, all that momentum had just vanished. Online, people were already calling it the WNBA's quietest final. The atmosphere in the arena wasn't just about missing skill, it was about a missing community, a lack of shared excitement. Nobody was there to witness the stars truly shine, and A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner were absolutely at their breaking point because of that harsh reality.
You are not invested, you are not interested in watching this BS transpire on your television sets.
Okay, so what should have been a moment of pure pride for A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner after Game 1, it totally imploded, spiraling into a heated argument. Honestly, both these veterans poured absolutely everything into getting their teams to the championship, only to be met with this awkward, deafening silence and half-empty arenas instead of roaring applause and flashing cameras. The WNBA had promised growth, respect, attention, but it felt like the league had just gone backwards overnight. For Dana and A'ja, it wasn't just about the numbers, it was about feeling completely abandoned by the very fans who were supposed to be uplifting the league at its most crucial moment. Wilson's frustration was palpable during the post-game press conference. Even though her voice was calm, her words hit hard. "We're playing some of the best basketball out there," she stated, "but it's like nobody's watching," and she wasn't wrong. National coverage was minimal, social media was barely stirring, and game snippets got almost zero traction compared to the viral frenzy that followed every single move of Caitlin Clark during the regular season. The contrast was impossible to ignore. Bonner, on the other hand, absolutely did not hold back. She was raw, direct, and completely unapologetic. "It's disrespectful," she declared. "We are worthy of crowded arenas. We are worthy of experiencing such energy." Her comments blew up online instantly, sparking this huge debate among fans. Was her rage justified? Some empathized, agreeing the league's marketing had backfired by ignoring what viewers really wanted. Others, though, argued that she and other veterans had inadvertently contributed to the fan base's division. And that's when the narrative really started to shift. What began as simple dissatisfaction over poor attendance quickly morphed into this much larger, more comprehensive picture of the WNBA's escalating difficulties. And what's wild is that this sentiment just kept repeating itself. You know, what should have been a proud moment for A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner after that first game ended, it just totally devolved into this heated argument. These veterans, they gave their all to get their teams to the championship game, only to be met with this awkward quiet in these half-empty venues instead of the roaring applause and flashing cameras they deserve. The WNBA, it promised respect, it promised growth, it promised attention, but it felt like the league had just regressed overnight. This wasn't just about attendance figures for Dana and A'ja, it was was about feeling completely abandoned by the very supporters who were supposed to finally rally around the league. Wilson's annoyance, it just kept coming through during the press conference after the game. Even though she spoke calmly, her tone was so powerful. "We're playing some of the best basketball out there," she said, "but it's like nobody's watching." And that statement was so powerful because she was absolutely not mistaken. There was barely any national coverage, social media activity had hardly picked up, and game snippets simply weren't stirring any excitement compared to the viral craze that greeted every single move Caitlin Clark made during the season. It was just so hard to ignore that stark contrast. And Bonner, again, she just did not mince words. She was direct, she was heartfelt, she was completely unrepentant. She declared, "It's disrespectful. We are worthy of crowded arenas. We are worthy of experiencing such energy." In her remarks, they just kept going viral on social media, with followers arguing over whether that rage was truly warranted. While some expressed sympathy and agreed that the league's marketing strategy had totally backfired by neglecting what fans really wanted to see, others contended that she and other veterans had actually contributed to the division within the fanbase. And this is where the story just really started to change at that point. That began as mere dissatisfaction over the poor attendance really turned into a much more comprehensive representation of the WNBA's mounting difficulty. And on top of all that, let's not forget, there were literally no fans present. The cost of tickets was skyrocketing, and what's more, there was none of that fervor that had previously surrounded Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. It wasn't just embarrassing, it was absolutely aggravating for two of the top talents in the league. Their sheer annoyance was captured on camera, and their scathing statements over the sheer lack of fan support were caught on microphone. But you see, there was even more going on behind all that rage. There was this increasing, undeniable awareness that the WNBA's prominence had seriously diminished, and that nobody appeared interested in watching in Caitlin Clark's absence. And yet again, what should have been a truly proud moment for A'ja Wilson and Dana Bonner after that first game concluded just evolved into a heated argument. Yet again, both these veterans had given their absolute all to get their teams to the championship game, but instead, they were met with that awkward quiet in those half-empty venues instead of the applause and flashing cameras they'd earned. The WNBA had pledged respect, growth, and attention, but it genuinely seemed as though the league had just regressed overnight. And this wasn't just about attendance figures for Dana and A'ja, it was about feeling completely abandoned by the very supporters who were supposed to be supporting the league at long last. Wilson's annoyance became abundantly clear during the press conference following the game. Even though she spoke in a calm manner, her tone, it was so incredibly powerful. "We're playing some of the best basketball out there," she stated, "but it's like nobody's watching." That was a profoundly powerful statement, and she was not mistaken. There was little national coverage, social media activity had hardly increased, and game snippets hardly stirred in comparison to the viral craze that greeted each move during the season from Caitlin Clark. It was just so hard to ignore the stark contrast. And conversely, Bonner, she didn't mince words. She was direct, heartfelt, and completely unrepentant. She declared, "It's disrespectful. We are worthy of crowded arenas. We are worthy of experiencing such energy." Her remarks quickly went viral on social media, with followers arguing over whether or not her rage was warranted. While some expressed sympathy and agreed that the league's marketing strategy had backfired by neglecting what fans really wanted to see, others contended that she and other veterans had contributed to the division in the fan base. And the story had just started to change at that point, truly transforming from mere dissatisfaction over the poor attendance into a much more comprehensive representation of the WNBA's mounting difficulty.